The Amex Gold and the Chase Sapphire Preferred are two cards everyone loves to compare. But most people don't realize they're built for totally different types of spenders and have some pretty major differences. And I'm going to break down these cards into these 7 categories that actually matter, so that way you can see which one fits the way you spend your money. Coming out of the gate, the Chase Sapphire Preferred takes a 1-0 series lead, and that's because, for starters, the CSP obviously has a lower annual fee at just $95, making it much easier to get the full value from and ultimately come out positive at the end of the year. The CSP also gives you an automatic $50 hotel credit when you book directly through Chase Travel, meaning even if you just book one single hotel a year, you're already going to offset that annual fee by about half. You'll also get a DoorDash Dash Pass membership included along with a $10 monthly credit to use for DoorDash itself. So ultimately, I find that this card is very straightforward for how to get the value back for the annual fee. The Amex Gold, on the other hand, is not so simple. For starters, it comes with a higher annual fee of $325, and in order to offset that, you have to manage multiple monthly credits, with most of them requiring not only activation, but also consistent usage. So for example, the $7 monthly Dunkin' credit, as well as the $10 monthly Uber Cash credit, are ones that if you do not use every single month, you lose. And now those credits do not roll over, so if you end up missing a month or multiple months, then you just kind of lose out on the value as those months go by. Ultimately, these credits are tied to specific merchants, making them harder for most people to redeem consistently unless you're already going to Dunkin' to grab a coffee culotta while taking an Uber ride to your favorite restaurant downtown as part of your regular routine. If that's not you, then you'll probably find some of these credits difficult to use. However, if you spend enough money on food, it can actually make a pretty decent dent in that $325 fee, but more on that later. For our next category, the Amex Gold brings it back to a 1-1 series tie as they take the cake in this one. And no pun intended there, but the Amex Gold literally earns a lot of money when you buy food with it. Specifically, it's going to earn 4 times points back at restaurants, and get this. The USDA actually estimates that the average person spends $4,485 on food away from home, according to data from 2023. Now multiply that by 4, and you could be netting about 18,000 Amex points per year just on your restaurant spending alone. And this works not only for dine-in, but also delivery and takeout. Now, it's not to say that the CSP doesn't earn anything in this category. In fact, it actually earns 3 times points at the same spend at restaurants. But last time I did the math, 3 times is not as good as 4 times. So it's a good rate, just not the best in class when comparing these two cards. And now eating out is only half the picture when it comes to food, so which card wins when it comes to grocery stores? Just when you thought the CSP was going to run away with this thing, the Amex Gold takes back-to-back categories and leads this series 2-1 because it not only earns 4 times points back at restaurants, but it also gets those same 4 times points at grocery stores, making it easily the top grocery store earning card out there. And according to that same USDA data, the average person spends about $3,187 a year on groceries. That's over 12,500 points a year when using the gold card for those purchases, meaning just with food alone, the things you're putting in your mouth and eating, you could be earning over 30,000 points with the Amex Gold. The CSP, on the other hand, and this might come as a surprise, offers no in-person grocery store purchase multiplier. Only earns 3 times bonus points on online grocery store purchases through places like Instacart, Amazon Fresh, or even delivery services like HelloFresh, which for someone like myself who actually enjoys going to the grocery store, shout out HEB, I don't find any value in this particular multiplier. However, if you travel a lot, also like me, then this next category is one to pay extra attention to. That's because the CSP ties this series back up at 2-2 after taking the cake in international travel usage, because the CSP has some really strong protections when it comes to anything and everything travel related. Most notably, things like trip cancellation and trip delay insurance, meaning the next time the entire country gets wiped out by a snowstorm during Christmas and your flight is delayed by more than 12 hours, You could be paid up to $500 per day to cover things like hotels, food, toiletries, etc., etc. Not to mention their baggage delay insurance, which kicks in if your bags are delayed by more than 6 hours. And if that happens to you, you could be paid up to $100 a day for up to 5 days that luggage is delayed. And my personal favorite is the primary rental car insurance, which takes place of your own insurance and allows you to safely decline any additional insurances offered by whoever you're renting your car through. Notably, this doesn't work for Turo, so hopefully that changes in the future. The Chase Sapphire Preferred is also a Visa credit card, meaning almost everywhere in the world will accept it, compared to the Amex Gold card, which is obviously American Express, making it great when you're here in the US, but it can be difficult to use internationally. Plus, this Gold card does offer car rental insurance, but like most credit cards out there, it's secondary, meaning if something was to happen during your rental period, your personal auto insurance will pay first, and then Amex's insurance kicks in. And that's where the Amex Gold takes a 3-2 series lead when it comes to the category of points and everyday earning, because the Gold card simply earns more on the spending that people are doing every day. These cover two of the largest spending categories for most people. In fact, Americans spent over 10% of their disposable income on groceries and dining alone. If you assume $15,000 is spent on food and travel per year, the Gold will earn about $312 more in rewards annually than the CSP in this category. And the real reason that the Gold card wins this category is because within Chase's ecosystem, there are better everyday spending cards than the CSP. For example, I use my Chase Freedom Unlimited far more than I use my Sapphire card, meaning the CSP isn't even Chase's best daily earner, compared to the Gold card, which is the best everyday earner within Amex's lineup. There is no cheaper or different Amex card that replaces the Gold spending categories. So for daily spend, as far as I see it, the Gold card wins. And now this is all good on paper for point earning, but real life is usually not occupied by thinking about maximizing points. So which one of these is going to be better for simplicity on a day-to-day basis? And just like that, we are headed to a pivotal Game 7 matchup, because in this sixth category, simplicity and ease of use, the Chase Sapphire Preferred brings it back to a 3-3 series lead, taking the win over the Amex Gold. And now I really had to sit down with this one. I mean, literally sitting down, because I generally find both of them pretty easy to use, but the CSP is just a little better because of its credits. Comparing apples to apples, the CSP has just two rewards, a yearly one-time $50 hotel credit and one monthly $10 DoorDash credit. Whereas the Amex Gold has more perks, you do need to work a bit more compared to the CSP. A $10 monthly dining credit, a $10 monthly Uber credit, a semi-annual Resi credit, an annual hotel credit. And as I mentioned earlier, most of these cards do require monthly maintenance, most notably on their Uber, dining, and Dunkin' credits. So for the simplest, least complex card out there, gotta go with the CSP. So up to this point, we've covered a few things. Earning points, maximizing the rewards from the cards, how easy those cards are to use, and the protections that you get with them when you're traveling. But the most important question yet to be answered is this: how much are the points that you're earning actually worth? And that leads us to our seventh and final category, which is travel points and redemptions. So the Amex Gold versus the Chase Sapphire Preferred in a Game 7 matchup. I mean, this is what it is all about, you guys. Are you ready for this? In fact, I'm going to need a drum roll, please. I'll provide it myself because I left my percussion instrument back home. So the Chase Sapphire Preferred takes this category and officially beats out the Amex Gold for the best overall card to get. Bye-bye Gold, hello Chase Sapphire. Focusing in on their points known as ultimate reward points, these things are crazy valuable. Namely because Chase has very strong transfer partners that include valuable airlines like United, Southwest, and even Singapore Airlines. But the major value is actually their partnership with Hyatt. For the past few years, my brother and I, as well as a number of our friends, have all flown out to Mexico and stayed at some of the nicest all-inclusive resorts possible under the Secrets lineup, which is Hyatt's all-inclusive international collection. Now, these resorts typically range anywhere from $500 up to $1,000 plus per night to stay there. And we've been able to book our stays completely on points without having to pay a cent for the hotel itself, using this transfer partner relationship. Now, technically speaking, the cent per point value that Chase offers when it comes to high hotel redemptions is consistently very high, meaning you can get a lot of bang for your buck when you use Chase points for your travel. And the crazy part is the Amex Gold also offers some insane value through its own version of airline transfer partners. For example, you can transfer your points over to Virgin Atlantic from American Express, which is exactly what I did earlier this year when I flew first class on All Nippon Airlines, or ANA, from the US to Japan. And now that ticket on ANA normally costs over $15,000, and yet I was able to book it for less than 100,000 points. To put that in perspective, 100,000 points is normally only worth about $1,000 if you redeemed it for cash. So by transferring my points, I 15x'd the value that I got from them, which is pretty crazy. But when I looked myself in the mirror and thought, if I had to pick just one of these cards, which one am I picking? Go. The Chase Sapphire Preferred unequivocally is my pick. And as a note, for both of these cards, I wanted to mention that in general, you'll want to have at least a 680 credit score before applying. If you're below that, don't worry, I'll be making a video on the best beginner credit cards to start building your credit here, so make sure to follow the page for that. And as a bonus reason the CSP wins is that it will actually help you build your credit better than the Amex Gold does. For long-term credit building, the CSP is objectively better because the Amex Gold is a charge card and won't get scored in the credit usage category that ultimately makes up the second most important factor to your credit score. Look, at the end of the day, it's whatever fits your lifestyle and preferences better. If your biggest spending categories are food and groceries, maybe go with the Amex Gold. If you want better travel protections, international acceptance, valuable points for traveling, and better credit building, the Chase Sapphire Preferred is the better long-term choice. And if this video helped you decide on which one of those you're going to go with, hit like, subscribe, and follow for more videos like this.